I am Mr. Stark.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. I am the host for tonight, Roddy Cat, and with me tonight are the gentlemen of the occasion. Well, a couple of the gentlemen of the occasion anyway. We start off with our man in legal, the man up in New York's way, the only New Yorker I know that doesn't say dead ass all the time. Our sound effects guru, Agent _70.
What's up, everybody?
And if we could get him to, to stop bogarting the extra sound effects for him, then that would be totally awesome. But also with us tonight, we have our, I guess you could say, our toy guru, the footy specialist. Wait, that didn't sound right. Either way,
it's soccer. It's not a foot fetish. There's a difference.
Footy. I said footy. Our people across the pond know what I'm talking about. Either way, we have PCN _dirt.
I'd say great to be here, but
There it is.
Oh.
There we go. So, as I said last week, we were supposed to be having, and I think we may still, I'm not really sure, but we're waiting for him to come on. We're going to have a special guest, Mr. Brian Edward Hill. Hopefully he will show up, but I'm not sure what happened to him, but hopefully he will be along.
We hope all the best.
Yes, indeed. We're hoping he's doing all right. And also, actually, should be John. Yes, he is the writer of Detective Comics. He is the upcoming writer of Batman and the Outsiders miniseries. He's also writing the What If X-Men that's coming up. He wrote that Black Lightning Hong Kong Phooey special that happened a while ago. He's also writing Postal and Romulus for Top Cow and Broken Trinity Pandora, which he wrote. Also, Wildstorm Michael Cray. So if anyone has any questions for him, and you can put it in the hashtag on Twitter, Comic Book Chronicles, and we will try to. Hopefully, they're good questions because we're trusting you on this one, people. But regardless, I guess we will do our spiel real quick and say that you can find us, this podcast rather, on the CSPN podcast network. That's CSPN.us. Go over there and check out a bunch of good podcasts of the like and whatnot. You can also subscribe to this podcast on Google Play and Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, and the SoundCloud Cold Slither channel. Go check it out there. I'm sure it's in other places of podcast perusal, but hey, those are the main ones. You can also go to shop.cspn.us and go get some merch from this fine program and others. If I had a mug or something on hand, I would prop it up so you can see it. You get it.
Well, you got a mug, but that's a story for another day.
So I guess while we are waiting, we will go ahead and do what we would normally do about this time and get into some comics. If Mr. Hill doesn't show up, then we'll try to reschedule one for next week or some other time. But hopefully, like I said, he's all right. So with that,
we actually have a few choices because we have a bunch of books that we all read.
So let's go ahead and do actually one that we've all read, and that looks to be Avengers #7. How about?
Okay.
So let's go ahead and get that chopped up.
All right, so this is kind of like an interlude story.
Kinda, but also an origin story.
Yes.
Of the first, which I think I know what book we're going to go to right after this, but the first Ghost Rider who rides a flaming woolly mammoth. And if that's not metal enough for you, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, but yeah, so I guess he this was a child back in the I wouldn't say the Stone Age, I guess, for lack of whatever actual period it is.
Right, like it's a nebulous time when
it's 1 million people who do know that. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's we're dealing with some prehistoric point in man's evolution, and we find that there is one member of this particular group or tribe that has far more intelligence than all of the others. But what they end up running into is another person, a member of a different tribe, who is also gifted in a sense.
I don't think it's the whole tribe. I think it's just this one dude. Because even with their talking, they were like, "Yeah, you're different like me," and that's not that. At least like this, it seemed like they said it's not that normal. But or it's not. They haven't come across either that many people like them, I should say.
Right, but this other says that he comes from a pack. He also came from a pack that feared everything outside their cave. So,
yes.
But
we found out to be a somebody we know, or at least that we know of.
Right. It might be the origin of a spirit, let's say, that actually appears in the first appearance of Wolverine.
Yes.
Hint, hint, hint.
Yeah, just...
And that's not the first, and I'm not referring to the Hulk. So
yes, that's another thing we'll get to in a little bit.
Right. So that was actually an interesting twist, because dealing with the primordial, with the ancient, it was interesting to see Jason Aaron weave this particular character and this particular character's origin and especially from the spiritual and the demonic side, weaving that into this early history of man was pretty cool, like a nice twist.
I think done with this series, to be honest. I didn't really care much for the whole storyline that they had before, bringing all the characters together, and these primordial versions of the Avengers. I'm just reading this book going, okay, well, this is the first Ghost Rider on Earth, but like, why do I care? Like, what am I supposed to be getting from this guy that makes me go, ooh, I want to keep reading this, other than the fact that he's on a giant flaming woolly mammoth? I mean, that was like the one thing where you go, okay, well, that's cool, but it's on the cover, so we knew it was going to be in the story, or at least we were hoping like it better be in there. But once you get beyond that, I'm just I'm reading the story and it's like, like I don't really care, I guess, is what it comes down to. And at the end, when he runs into some of the other proto Avengers from 1 million BC or whatever it is, it's just, I'm just looking at him like I don't really care. Like who, like whatever, I don't buy Avengers to read stories of Odin when he was a kid. So yeah, I was getting ready to dump it before, but I figured I wanted to see the flaming woolly mammoth. I've seen it, and so now I think I'm done.
That's true. You did say that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna stick with it a little while longer because I gotta thinking that can't. There's got to be. I need to know where this was going to go after that last big story. Because like you don't start off like that and just go, or at least I would hope you shouldn't. And again, Jason Aaron's kind of has done some pretty decent stuff in the past with with characters. So I don't know. We definitely know he has a thing for Thor and the elves.
All right, so I'm willing to give this. I'm willing to give this story some more time because this is just a one-off issue. The next issue jumps right back into present day with the current roster of Avengers and dealing with the aftermath of that, the whole Celestial stuff.
Right. So probably just going to be doing a little bit of back and forth like he's done before. And I want to say, wait.
Right, like even going back to like the future Thor and King Thor, that whole thing, that like this whole like multiple timelines and dealing with the parallel stories is something that Jason Aaron has done in his Marvel work for since Jump. So I'm willing to give this more time to develop.
Yes, we shall see how that pans out. So I guess if we're done with that, then let's get to the other side of this coin and talk about Cosmic Ghost Rider number 3. Because holy hell, that's a thing.
Yeah, I did read this. I didn't do a write-up of it, but I did read it. I mean, I kind of skimmed it to read it again.
Yeah, that I don't know if there's enough reading in the world to get you to know what's going on. I mean, it's well. So Doug, go. I mean,
Doug, if you want to take over, yeah, go.
I love this book. I love even this particular issue. I loved everything in this issue. I mean, this is just
the Juggerduck.
You're dealing with time travel, and like I will just say I've never really cared much for Cable. He was always one of those characters that just never really did much for me. And the fact that he is a time traveler, it seems like you could do more with that than what they typically seem to do. And so in this story, they're saying, okay, he's the time traveler. So he's like blinking out of existence and then blinks back. And it's been like 20 years later for him. And he's built up a force of heroes. And then some stuff goes on. And then he blinks out and he blinks back. And he's got a whole new group of heroes. And like, it just keeps playing with that idea of time travel in the most ridiculous way, where he's putting together the most insane groups of heroes and wannabe heroes and alternate versions of heroes. And this brought up a whole conversation we had before the show about whether or not this is taking place in the 616 universe, because there are some weird mashups of characters. But again, when it's time travel and you're messing with the time stream, you could have crazy Juggerduck somehow or another come through, because you don't know what the Marvel universe is going to be in 20 years or 50 years or whatever. So, but I just love the fact that they're playing with that. Part of the whole reason that Frank Castle is doing this is because he wants to try to reform Thanos and not turn him into the giant killer of the universe. And we find out that might not work. That might not be the best plan. So.
So wait, so let's. I'm sorry. Before you go any further, let's back up again. Let's back up a second, and just in case people didn't know, give the run up to this issue, or the run up with Frank Castle.
Well, okay, so as quickly as I can, Frank Castle, far distant future. He became a Herald of Galactus, and then he became a Ghost Rider, and then he became the lackey for Thanos at the end of time. And then at some point farther on after that, he died. He ended up in Asgard or Valhalla or wherever with Odin, and Odin gave him the ability to come back. And so he chose to come back to when Thanos was a baby, and he grabs baby Thanos, and he's trying the whole nature versus nurture thing to see if he can nurture baby Thanos and turn him into a fine, upstanding member of society instead of the one who wants to kill everybody so that he can marry Death. And so it's a nature versus nurture story is basically what it comes down to with Frank Castle, Herald of Galactus, Ghost Rider from the far future with baby Thanos.
And he is failing. One would argue that he's failing miserably at this.
And it as crazy as it sounds, it actually could be a sitcom on Fox. Like Frank and the Baby,
Yes, because it's worth noting there was a couple of things, and if you put those two together, the most logical outcome of that happens at the end of this issue.
God,
which in itself is just a nightmare fuel for some, I'm sure. But
and I'll even add, I like the artwork in this, and this artwork is not your standard superhero style of artwork. It's a lot more jagged. It's a lot sketchier. It feels, darker and dirtier. So I think it fits well with the storyline, and especially with a lot of the crazy stuff that's going on in the action.
Mildly cartoony.
Yeah. It has a nice kind of over the top, but at the same time still kind of dark and gritty feel to it.
Yeah, I mean, Thanos using somebody's bionic arm to beat the living hell out of. I mean, come on. It's a great panel, but like I was saying earlier, I literally put this book down. I put it down. And I was like, I'm not gonna just. I can't deal with this right now.
Well, and now he's learned that baby Thanos can talk. So now you have this little baby.
Talk when he found him, because he was supposedly he was 3 years old or something, even though he was still in the crib for some reason. But baby Thanos was talking then. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that it plays up a whole lot more in this one.
Right.
So anyway, I love it. It's zany fun.
It's definitely over the top. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird, dumb, fun book, but it's good. So, but I also like the fact that they, well, not necessarily hyped up, but there's been articles about this this future Guardians of the Galaxy that, spoiler alert, don't really last that long. In the course of the book, and Cable just throw the whole bunch of other Guardians or heroes or whatever the case may be into the mix. And wait, is this because I'm kind of blending this? Is this the way they also got rid of Galactus? Yeah, like Galactus came in and got
they found a way to use PIM particles on Galactus and removed him as a threat. Yeah.
So which has me thinking, I was like, wait, why hasn't anyone done that before? But then probably logically that probably wouldn't.
Well, because Cable had to ping out for 20 years and then come back with the breakthrough in PIM particle science that he could use on Galactus.
So yeah, Cosmic Ghost Rider is pretty dumb, but it's pretty fun. I don't know. This is ridiculous, but I've enjoyed it, especially reading them. This would probably definitely be a good trade book.
Well, it's also one of those where it's so dumb it's smart.
Right.
Yeah.
It's one of the smartest books that Marvel is putting out with how dumb and ridiculous it is, because as dumb as everything is, almost all of it has a purpose and drives towards something or references something else or is a setup for something that happens later. There's so many layers and there's so much going on that's woven through everything that it's all so random and stupid, but it all makes sense and fits together.
Yeah, or set up for something that's already happening,
or a punchline, for something.
Yeah. So yeah, that is that. There was something else I was gonna say about it, but I can't remember what it is, so it doesn't matter. So we're gonna move on. So anybody want to throw out a book? All right, don't everybody speak. Jeez, man.
We do have a sound effect for that,
What's next?
Oh, yeah, for that one.
Sure, the old class one. All right, well, how about this? Then I will throw out a book. And I think we mentioned this earlier. That was what I was going to say about Cosmic Ghost Rider, was that the fact that I was likening Cosmic Ghost Rider to the Multiple Man book that's going on because of, as Dirk said earlier, because of the whole time shenanigans and craziness going on with it. So that's that. But I'm going to get to Immortal Hulk, which we all read. Actually, all
read, yes.
So I'm actually enjoying this book.
Well,
all right.
So the dog.
Yeah. Either the dog did or did not enjoy this book. We don't know.
Sorry, there's a train whistle in the distance, so of course the dog thinks we're under attack.
Sure. Well, if there's ever any killer trains in your area, then y'all will be set.
You know what the dog is thinking, right?
Right, exactly.
No, it's thinking this.
It's a trap.
Indeed. So yeah, so 87, you want to talk about
Sure. So this is a continuation of a story involving Walter Langowski, aka Sasquatch, on the hunt for the now fugitive Banner, and we have a little bit of background at the beginning of the story, and where it's a little bit of a flashback. Alpha Flight and Sasquatch are in space as part of, in space on the space station, on the Alpha Flight space station with Captain Marvel, and there's a bit of a debriefing going on, wherein Captain Marvel asks Sasquatch, what's going on? Why are you Sasquatch all the time? Why don't you change into your alter ego? And and we start with that premise and jump into the present, where Langowski has been or Sasquatch has basically been injured and has been brought to a hospital, and Bruce Banner has come to this particular hospital, and basically shenanigans ensue, but of the savage gamma powered beast kind.
Yes. So yeah, actually, he straight up got killed at that last. But it's basically the same as Bruce Banner, and this is where like Bruce Banner can die, but they're his alter ego. So they're basically putting the parallels between them two a little closer, including what comes out in this issue as their gamma connection, I guess.
Right.
Which they had already said that in issues past.
I guess they're both effectively immortal. So I guess there could be a spin-off of Sasquatch coming soon.
Yeah. Although at the end of this, we don't know where that lies, even though we've seen articles. Well, I've seen articles suggesting that, there's going to be more forthcoming.
Well, and also, apparently gamma radiation opens you up to a lot more stuff than just turning into a monster.
Yes.
And we get a reveal that there's somebody else inside Sasquatch, which, like, I mean, I guess it works for the character. And it'll work for this horror themed story they're doing, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, like really, like somebody that's not talked about, that's not part of the story, that's not really part of the mythos, that's not really.
Well, it is. It's part of the mythos. And
no. He's talking about the person that shows up as to being in control of the Sasquatch being not normally. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's no connection between this guy and Sasquatch.
Right.
So it just, I don't know. It seems like it's too convenient for the sake of the story. It doesn't really go with the story flow that we've been given so far. But, having said that, I still thought it was a fun story. It had good pacing, good action. This reporter lady who's been trying to track down Bruce Banner and follow around the Hulk, whatever, finding out what her motivation is, and what she's actually working towards, and it's not the big scoop of the story. She is completely unhinged, and I have a feeling she's going to come back as a villain at some point down the line also, because crazy people make good villains. Right. So I do like the way that the story is at least structured and the way it's flowing, even though I don't necessarily like this character that's just kind of shoehorned in here at the last minute.
Yeah, that part definitely was kind of weird, but it also kind of opens it up the same. It's like, okay, because with this whole green door thing, it's almost like, well, this green door a dimensional gateway to some kind of the gamma force or something.
It's like the Speed Force. We're going to see Flash come through at some point.
It seems like they're kind of setting it up as, and I guess what all gamma irradiated creatures or people can see this door, or at least they hadn't gone that far with it yet, but it seems like that's kind of where they're going. Like, is She-Hulk going to come in and be like, yeah, I've seen this door too, and it's going to be, and then she's going to have another alter ego, which I guess she kind of already does if you if you're reading Avengers.
Well, yeah, but then the John Byrne sensational She-Hulk will come out, and then the two of them will be fighting against each other,
and then just go smashing through the fourth wall again.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I still like the horror theme of it. It's still playing out like that B movie, monster movie type stuff that I'm enjoying that very much. So even though I didn't like that character that was thrown in here in this issue, I still overall like the story, and I still plan on sticking with the book.
Okay. I like this. This is a potential click of the week choice for me.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a good story. I'm not sure if I could go that far with it, but hey, I can see it. So let's go on to something else. Dirk, you want to throw out a book?
Well, you want to stick with Marvel and just keep running through them?
Go for it.
Because also, yeah, I was gonna say Death of the Inhumans 3 was something I know that we've been talking about for a while, that we've been digging this series. It's also by Donny Cates, who's doing Cosmic Ghost Rider, and working on the Thanos stuff. And he actually gets a plug for Cosmic Ghost Rider in this book, which I actually was kind of happy to see that. I kind of giggled a little bit, even though the gravity of this particular series. But so at the end of the last issue, we see Black Bolt getting his throat cut. We know it's Death of the Inhumans, so you're like, oh, well, they just killed Black Bolt. That's kind of weird. Well, we find out he's not actually dead. It was enough to cut his ability to speak, but then now he's stitched back up and he's being held prisoner. And since he can't speak and he can't shout like Black Bolt, then he's unable to cause the destruction and that he normally would. So they're just using him so they can torture him for a little while longer, and he can watch as the rest of the Inhumans are going to be destroyed. And it doesn't quite work out that way.
Not quite. What I'm really enjoying about how they're using Black Bolt in this story and in the Black Bolt miniseries by Saladin Ahmed is they find ways to have Black Bolt not be, hindered and also empowered to destroy planets. He's not hindered by that power. So by taking it away for the most part, they allow the character to, inhabit a different space and do different things. It's pretty interesting to see writers do different things with the character so that they can use the character in different ways. In this sense, Black Bolt is dealing with, and the way Cates puts it in the book is great. He's been reduced to using his power with scalpel-like precision.
Yeah, so no longer is his voice this blunt object or this blunt force that comes through and just obliterates. Now he has to use it a little more precisely, I guess is a good way to put it. And so using the names of all the people that have been killed, he's able to whisper the names. And even though he doesn't have his booming voice, a whisper from him is still enough to do some damage. And so we see that Black Bolt is not completely useless as far as that goes. But with the rest of the Inhumans, though, they've starting with this issue, it's kind of backing off the wholesale slaughter.
Right.
So we've gotten, the first two issues that were just, body after body after body after body after colony being destroyed. And now it's backing off a little bit from that. And you got a whole bunch of carnage at first, but now we're working towards more of a eventual confrontation. The one thing though that kind of bothers me is Medusa. She doesn't want anyone else involved, and I don't know if that's just supposed to be her ego or if they just said for the sake of the story you can't bring anyone else into this. But they're like, hey, we got to go to Earth, we got to get the Avengers, we got to no help, we're gonna do it ourselves.
No, I think
it's like a bunch of you just got wiped out, and the first thing you say is we don't want help. Like,
I don't think it's that exactly. I think that there's two ways to look at it. I don't exactly agree with Medusa myself, right? But I think it's that they don't want to turn back, one. And two, I don't think they want to deal with, heroic morality. So, that's kind of what she's implying in this issue.
So if the heroes were there, they would stop them from getting the revenge and destroying. Right. Okay, I can buy that at least a little bit more.
All right, that's the gist that I got, because what she says is there will be no place for heroes in what comes next.
Yeah.
And historically, they've always been like, no, we can do this ourselves. We don't need anybody's help anyway. So it kind of plays to both.
Well, yeah, but again, not after many of them have been slaughtered.
All right, but they turn out to be looking for help.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the issue, they actually find help, and I think I agree wholeheartedly with Dirt and his notes in this.
Yeah, so we get this. I'm not gonna spoil who it is.
Yeah.
But we see a character makes an appearance at the end, and you can tell first of all when the character starts talking, they don't show you who it is, but you can see that the word balloons, the lettering is different.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell that they come from some other universe, some other corner, I guess, of the Marvel universe, because Marvel has a tendency to do that, playing with the lettering. And but it's revealed as a character that really confuses me because it's a character.
How did we get to this point?
Right. The last time we saw the character, he was doing fine.
Right.
And now he seems to have fallen on hard times, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And he's developed a giant beer gut, which doesn't. Okay. But also, he's now in this Death of the Inhumans, and he's always been a side character. They've tried a few times to give him a series and whatever, and it's never quite worked out. But if they kill this character off in this book, I will start fires. I will smash stuff.
Yeah.
I will,
I will not be happy myself.
I will be putting dog doo-doo in a box and mailing it to Marvel offices because if this character dies, I will riot. This is not. I'm not playing games with this guy, but
I won't be happy myself. That's kind of, I'm not happy with this character's inclusion in the story.
Right.
It took me by surprise as well. Although, to be honest, the character, even though the character is depicted as being in his transformed state, maybe upon gaining his transformed state, maybe he won't have the beer gut. We'll see.
Maybe. Anyway.
Yeah, I know.
I still like the series though. I like
this issue.
Even as much as I've enjoyed the carnage in the last couple issues, I understand the need to kind of pull back a little bit because you can't, keep doing that over and over because then you're a broken record. So the story does progress a little bit more beyond that. And so I'm still intrigued by it, even though the characters of the Inhumans, again, have never really been a whole lot for me. I'm still enjoying this series.
Same. Although I've enjoyed the characters, much more and kind of at least tried to keep up with their story. All right.
Yeah, I at least try to keep an eye on what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't necessarily read all of it. It's just kind of like what's happening over. Okay, that's what they're okay, and then that's all I need to know. Until something a little more interesting I think comes along, and then I'll read the miniseries. But
gotcha.
I only had one other Marvel book, and that was the Thanos Legacy #1.
Okay.
What?
No, I said do it.
Oh, I thought you said wait. Okay. So it's basically broken into two stories, and the first story is telling basically it's trying to bridge the gap between what happened at the end of the Thanos series and the what's the Infinity storyline that's going Infinity Wars? Is that what's going Infinity Prime? What's the thing going on now?
Yeah.
So I'm not reading that Infinity, so I don't know exactly how this is going to tie together. I read the last, Thanos series and I liked it, but when that ended, it kind of ended in a way that I was more than happy with the ending that we got in that series. And so I read this one. I guess it's kind of interesting that there's a little bit more to Thanos than we knew before. There's actually something about him that's kind of dark side-ish, I'll say, without giving everything away. But at the same time, after reading it, I'm just not hooked. I don't need to keep reading this, I don't think. And the second story, I don't know if this is news to anybody, but Thanos didn't treat Gamora very well when she was a little girl. I don't know if you knew that. That might be a news flash. If you didn't know that, well, now you know after reading that backup story. But otherwise, it's a story with no dialogue, and it literally will take you about 5 seconds to read the 10, 12 pages or whatever for this backup story. I mean, there's pretty much nothing to it. So at the end of the day, I was just let down kind of by the whole thing, and I don't know where this is going. I know it's going to tie into the Infinity stuff that's going on, but I'm just never really been that big into all that stuff. So I think I'm done with Thanos for now.
Okay.
So actually, I will say that I have another book I could throw out, but Yeah, unless someone else has something else more pressing, then we can also start to spin up the Vulcan.
All right, here we go. Rapid fire time.
And I've got a few books here, but or at least left, so I'll try to run through them relatively quickly. And start off with As Guardians of the Galaxy #1, which is also a supposedly coming out of Infinity Wars. In that, I haven't been reading Infinity Wars either, so I'm assuming this. I don't know if this character has a more of a part to play outside of what she has been in here, and that would be Nebula, which is the other daughter of Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't find out until halfway in the issue. So basically, we see a group of Asgardians like get put together for some mission that we still don't know fully about, but we do know it's Angela, it's Valkyrie, aka the original Valkyrie, who we hadn't seen, or at least I haven't seen since Fearless Defenders, who is still tied to human archaeologist Annabelle Riggs, because we started off with Angela and Scourge, the executioner, going to get her, and then that was in the past. Then they cut to now, to where they're fighting on some planet, to where Annabelle's trying to read some stuff off this archaeological dig that's, I guess, Asgardian in origin. Then she ends up turning into Valkyrie and starting fighting, and then there's a whole thing about, the rest of the team also is in the mix, like Thunderstrike, whom we haven't seen in a minute, and Thor Frog, who might actually be, without having any words, but just coming in and kicking some butt, has probably the best the best couple of panels in this issue. Let me see who else. Oh, and of course the Destroyer armor, which is being piloted by someone. We find out who it is at the end of the issue. A person who shouldn't even be here, but yet is. And if you think about Asgardians and people associated with them, you can, especially one particular kin to one of the characters, you can kind of figure out who that person is, or at least a version of who that person is. That aside, like I said, we find out the loose Infinity Wars tie-in with this, with Nebula basically looking to try to raise an army, as it looks like, because of what's going on in Infinity Wars. I'm not sure, but that seems to be what's the case. And like I said, we find out who's in the Destroyer armor, and the fact that this person and Angela has a promise with each other for some odd reason, and this is why she put the team together, because this team seems unlikely, as Annabelle says in the course of the story. Like, you didn't put us in, like, this wasn't just a random team put together. This was like, this is a bunch of either expendable people or people who just don't, who don't have much of a problem with doing some things. So that's that. But it was a fun book, and I enjoyed it. I might I think it's a mini year in a way, so I might keep up with it. Let's see. Next up, Ant-Man and the Wasp #5. This ends that storyline where Nadia and Scott were trying to get home from the quantum realm, aka the microverse. Actually, they do call it the microverse here, but they kind of mention some quantum stuff here because they got entangled, so they end up doing mirror match type stuff, and they're trying to figure out how to unbind each other and get back home at the same time, which they do. But apparently, there may be a thing that still ties them together, as we find out at the end of the issue. Like, while this is the end of the miniseries, it might branch off into something else. And we do know Nadia is getting her own book back, which may or may, I don't think they're gonna put that in there, but still, it's a thing that might come up sometime later. Silver Surfer Annual #1, an annual for a book that has been gone almost literal year, folks. So this is a pretty familiar story. If you know the origins of Silver Surfer, this is pretty much that, except for before. Apparently, this takes place before what we kind of know as far as between him becoming Silver Surfer and him coming to Earth, in other words. But the story in itself is familiar as to when he kind of did go to Earth, and kind of goes into his backstory and that kind of stuff. It was, again, it was a quite familiar read but it was decent for what it was. I was like, we've kind of seen the stuff before, but it's just a slightly different story. X-Men Gold number 35. So this ends that chapter of this book, because I think this book is in the next issue anyway, if I'm not mistaken. In that, so Aurora was investigating her old village and some things going on with this person who was this guy named Uvu, who looks like a Kuma from Street Fighter. She had her Thor hammer back for a while, but then it was gone. It came back this issue, and we got a cameo from some of the other X-Men. But she basically concludes the fight with Uvu, and the hammer gets destroyed, presumably never to return again. And also, the people who were affected by this and this god who was raising the dead disappear, almost Thanos snapping his fingers like. Weird enough, because you even get the same going away kind of stuff. But that pretty much ends that, and then leaving Storm to kind of, make a promise and mourn and do all that stuff. Let's see. I got 2 more left. Adventures of the Super Sons number 2, and I kind of wish Tim was here for these next 2, because I think he's been reading these 2. I'm not sure, but we get a bit of a backstory from a couple of the villains, or at least one villain, and the person that they first recruited, who may or may not be a villain, who just may be a slight bystander to what's been going on. But John and Damian basically get kidnapped because the villains need a hypercube from the Fortress of Solitude, which they kind of get, but they still don't know how to use it, and they still need John for that. But the kids try to figure out how to get John's powers back, which were taken by some version of kryptonite. But at the end of this, in trying to get those powers back, spoiler alert, John gets split in 2. So there's now like 2 versions of Superboy in different colors, almost Superman 3 like.
Wait, are they red and blue?
They are.
Oh. Actually, I just realized earlier today that this had come out and I didn't get my paper copy. So I was just texting Damien a few minutes ago. I was like, where's my paper copy of Super Sons, you son of a... So I'll be going by tomorrow, pick that up.
Yeah, it's actually still worth it. I think it may still be, like, there's not that much action in it, but it's probably still worth a read to get to the last page. So it's cool. And
where's my Super Sons?
All right. And the last book that I have is a vertical book called Border Town. And again, like I kind of wish Tim, and the other reason why I know Tim's been reading this, because I saw a tweet that he did because he got a copy of the book and some other stuff along with it, including some swag. But so Border Town is basically about this kid named Frank. I can't remember his last name. He's like half Mexican. He and his mom and his, I guess, stepdad moved to this town in Arizona near the border. And in this town, it is not only on the border of Mexico and the United States, it's also the border of another dimension where these monsters live. And we see some of these monsters kind of come into the human realm in this town, start causing some havoc. But also, this is also a town with some unrest with it, because with a border town, you have, these folks trying to protect the border because they don't want illegals coming in, and you have people that are more or less racist. But that's kind of a small part to it, in the fact that there's these other monsters are coming in, that some of which are from Mexican origin or based legend to come in and to kind of wreaking havoc. And it looks like Frank, with a couple of other people that he's been meeting in town, might be getting together to either battle or do something with it. We don't know this, but we just basically meet Frank and these other characters that get introduced in the story, and whether they get what part they will play going forward will be told in the next few issues or not. But this is by Eric Esquivel and Ramon Villalobos, who's an artist whose work I enjoy. So, and been getting a lot cleaner lately. So it's a weirdly interesting book to read because, as I said in my notes, I don't know this for a fact, but I guess Erie, Indiana, that show is kind of a thing, but also with a dash of Karate Kid because Frank's kind of the, hey, you didn't want to move here in the first place, but there's no Mr. Miyagi and there's no karate, but because he can hold his own, but there's kind of still some shades of, the Ralph Macchio character come in with a chip on the shoulder and, but things going on within the town or not. So I don't know. And also, I guess Monster Squad would probably play into this. Again, it was just a movie I don't remember seeing too much of. But if any of that is intriguing, you can go check it out because it's definitely a weird one starting off.
All right. So what I got from that is that Mexicans crossing the border are monsters. Got it. Keep going.
No. Not at all. So if anybody else got anything else, you're going to...
I've got two more real quick. Batman 54.
I read.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure Agent 70 read that one. It talks about the Batman Nightwing dynamic. It talks about Dick Grayson coming to live with Bruce and some of the things over the years. The way Dick has always been there to be, lighthearted, to be comedy. But at the same time, when he first arrived, of course, it was very sad, very heartbreaking. He's having nightmares about his parents dying, and so Bruce had to be there for him. And so they have this complex relationship that it is father-son in a way, but it's also kind of brothers in a way because they both went through the same thing, losing their parents. And so Batman being recently dumped at the altar, Dick is there, just to...
For moral and emotional support.
Yeah, to help him through it and kind of lighten the mood a little bit. And so it was an interesting story, but it was kind of just like a filler throwaway. I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot to it other than the fact that it ran down some of the C, D, E, F, G-list villains. Condiment King. Condiment King's no joke. He killed 3 people this week. So we got a lot of that stuff going on. So it was interesting, and it was fun.
Right.
But at the same time, you still get done with it and you're just like, well, it was a filler. It was better filler than some things I've read.
Right. I was going to say, what I would say is it's not exactly the when you think of a filler issue, you think of just kind of a one-off thing. This is just a kind of a logical next step in the story. It's just in the sense that it's a one and done story in this like kind of larger story of how Batman goes from completely head over heels to being jilted at the altar and how he recovers from that. So that's where this falls into that particular story mechanic. I have to say that though, my last note, and I really enjoyed this part, was this book also made me finally look up all of the ingredients of a cucumber sandwich, why it's made the way it's made, the different ways that it's made, and its origin as a light snack for British tea. So, one of these days I'm going to try to make some cucumber sandwiches, but I've read cucumber sandwiches so often when it comes to Alfred. I'm like, what the hell is a cucumber sandwich? I just sort of let it go. Now I'm just like, forget it. Now I'm just going to look it up. Now I know.
And it's definitely an acquired taste.
Yeah.
The only other book I have is James Bond Origin #1. And it was a very by the numbers, basic type of origin. It is, it's the Sean Connery Bond very clearly. I mean, one of the things I liked early on with the way they were doing Bond at Dynamite was that the very first issue they did, they never showed his face. So you never really got to pull one way or another of which version of Bond it was. And it's just kind of set in, that kind of all-purpose modern time where everything kind of looks the way it is, but the technology is a little more futuristic. But then people drive kind of older-looking cars, so it's a really nondescript time period, indeterminate. And yet this one was very much like, this is Sean Connery, James Bond. This is him growing up in Scotland. This is Nazis attacking for World War II. This is, talking about his mom and dad, which we found out about in where You Only Live Twice. When you saw his obituary on the screen, so it's like there are the names and everything. So they're definitely building that universe around the character. But at the same time, the story, like, I get it. You can't kill your hero in the first issue of his origin story, because that kind of kills the whole progression of the story. But at the same time, when Nazis are killing the professor trying to get the rocket plans, and you happen to stumble upon them, they're not going to go, he's just a boy, and punch him in the gut and leave him there. When they're willing to kill for these plans, the Nazis are going to be like, hey, kill the boy and let's get out of here. So, it's just a little, as I'm just reading it, it's like, I get it, but I think there should have been something a little more clever for him to escape. Something showing how smart he is, or how he's able to get the upper hand against them, or whatever. It's something, and they just didn't do it. So, but again, it's a very just kind of bland, all-purpose. He's not James Bond yet, and there's no like, hey, welcome to the organization, and we're going to show you all this cool stuff, and here's like the underground of the political machinations of everything going on. Instead, it's more like that whole 007 thing hasn't started yet. And because James Bond is smart, but he doesn't take direction well, it may be built as a thing that he'll be a part of. He may inspire it, I guess, maybe in a way, but I mean, really, it just, like, I'm reading it and I'm just like, this isn't really what I expected. This wasn't what I was hoping for. And the fact that it's so firmly rooted in the late 30s, early 40s, where that Sean Connery version of Bond would have come out of, right, that it's just kind of like, all right, well, it's not playing into the modern timeline. It's playing into that old one, which is interesting. At the same time, it's not what they've been doing with Bond for a long time in the comics and the movies and everything else. So it just kind of feels a little out of place.
Almost outdated. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I've only got one more book to talk about. That's Captain America #3, Ta-Nehisi Coates and Lionel Yu. I have to say that Coates is definitely drawing on current events to incorporate into his story, as well as the status quo of Wakanda in the wake of the Black Panther movie, to create a pretty action-packed story. It's weird knowing who the big bad is. We've talked about who the big bad is before; it's already been revealed. It's weird knowing that this X-Men villain also makes at least just a little sense as the big bad in this story, instead of the usual Nazi and or Nazi sympathizers. This leaves me curious to see where this all goes. So I'm definitely enjoying this Coates book as opposed to trying to figure out what the hell he's doing in Black Panther right now. So, but this is a little bit more straightforward. So that's not that's not too surprising. Alrighty. So I guess it's time.
I thought you were going to go a little bit longer. I was like, wow, he really did that as a quick.
Yeah, right.
No. Time for I'm just pulling up the soundboard here. Time for clicks of the week. I was reading Tim's click of the week, and that's what was distracting me. So here we go.
So yeah, click of the week time, folks. What you got? We got Tim's. He said, I'm trying to look up the number here.
He said Justice League. This week's
Justice League number 7.
Number 7. Thank you. Okay.
Well, I think mine's fairly obvious. It's Cosmic Ghost Rider #3. Wait a minute. Let me travel back in time. No, it's Cosmic Ghost Rider #3.
Yeah, well, you don't want to slide back like 20 more times and make sure?
Let's slide by one. Cosmic Ghost Rider #3.
I'm actually almost inclined to agree with you on this one. Because wow, that was a thing. Yeah, you know what? That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Because that book's kind of crazy and rightly deserved. So, Age of 7, what you got?
I'm gonna go with, I guess, the other Kate's book that I read this week, which is Death of the Inhumans #3. Despite our misgivings about what may happen.
I was gonna say Death of Inhumans 4 might be the rage pick of the rage. in a couple weeks, but we'll see.
We will see.
That's kind of how it goes with these things. So, all right, cool. And then that being the case, I guess we will be saying goodbye to Mr. Dirt there.
Yeah, it's actually pretty late. So
Yep. We're running a little behind tonight, so wish PC or Dirt a good night.
Good night, guys. Thanks for having me. I'll see you next week.
Later.
Take it easy. And with that, we will go into the news. But before that, as we tend to do, an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Funko, Fun at First Sight. Your home for exclusive collectibles, such as their world-famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel, t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise, custom DIY pop figures, art books, and skateboards, and keychains. And now the listeners of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off, and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10, SHOP10, for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today.
All right. And as we start off, like we normally do, we will go into the news, starting with the cinematic.
Hold on, the news.
And I will start off by saying Oscar Isaac has a suggestion for Last Jedi haters.
It doesn't matter what you think.
Oh, stop it.
No, that's what he's saying.
That's actually, you're right. That's kind of
That's what he's saying.
That was on point. And
then I'm like, you don't get it. Like, wait, that's what he's saying. That's a suggestion.
You're right. No, you got it. So anyway, but what he actually said, given that nice paraphrase, was that what I think is really special about the whole thing, particularly about the people that don't really agree where the story went, is that it's often a great inspiration to do your own stuff. Isaac told Yahoo Entertainment, obviously making your own Star Wars movie is a big bit of a tough challenge, but at least from the narrative standpoint, maybe you making your own thing and then show what you would want, make what you want to see, which is a thing that's been said in comics, at large for quite a while now, with the hubbub going around that. But that the first time bite, pretty much, you can kind of paraphrase that into that, because there are people doing that, and we don't want to talk about those because those people are idiots anyway. So let's move on.
All righty. So Infinity Wars, the Avengers Infinity War movie had an alternate ending that was even darker than the final version that made it to theaters. So apparently, what was this, from the director's commentary?
I believe so, yes.
All right. So
the VFX team's featurette, that other thing's probably on the Blu-ray.
Oh, okay. All righty. So according to the VFX supervisor, things get a little dark, and the ending would have had Thanos walking through a river of blood. I mean, that would have been pretty grim. So, although definitely symbolic of what happens.
Or someone would have said, "Why is this big grape man walking through red Kool-Aid?"
Yeah, depending on how how it's rendered, right?
Sure. So, but that's the thing. We got what we got. But you can, this was an interview. I think that is, I don't know. I haven't gone through all that stuff, but I think there is probably a featurette about that stuff. But we're not, because I never looked through the deleted stuff yet. Anyhow, that is that. James Gunn firing could affect Avengers 4 also. Which, yeah. So again, this is why I wasn't gonna bring this up too many more times. But hey, this is actually a thing. So yeah, you already know Batista's out there still blah 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 about all this stuff, and his place and all that other stuff.
For him.
So hey, friends, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, according to him, in the interview. It's on permanent hold for now, and I think that's been actually confirmed by Disney at the point that this article came out. But he said he's in Avengers 4, and he's already shot his stuff, and he's got some reshoots left. But you know, I think he has also said that he would want a Drax movie, even if he was attached to it or not. But I don't know, just whatever.
We'll see.
Yeah, no one can a Drax movie.
Next up, Blade is one of Wesley Snipes' Marvel projects, and is one of these projects with Blade's daughter.
So we talked about this last week, where Wesley Snipes was out there talking, saying that there was 2 projects possibly in the works with Marvel Blade related, and I also speculated. So yes, I'm slightly tooting my own horn just a little bit here, that it could harken back to the Blade starter thing that they were supposed to do a couple of years ago that never came to fruition. The book, rather, and this article also kind of postulates that as well.
Alrighty.
So, next up,
all 3 of these in.
Yes, I am. Because Brie Larson teased. This was Tuesday night, I believe it was, at the time of this recording. Brie Larson teases Captain Marvel announcement, which came out to be a spread in this month's Entertainment Weekly issue. And also some behind the scenes, some set photos of exclusives from said movie, to which you can see here right now. So you can go to Entertainment Weekly site and see the exclusives they have on all of that. But I am going to just go through some of these pictures, because here we see, if you're watching the video, and you should sometimes,
you should just go to the Entertainment Weekly website and look at these photos.
Or you can look at our video and just get straight to the point. So, you know what I'm saying? If you're watching this video, hey. Anyway, we'll get back on that. So you see her in the uniform, the Captain Marvel uniform. You see this picture of her with what looks to be, and according to this, is going to be Star Force, which is a name I've heard of, but I don't know too much about. And you see Ronan the Accuser over there, and Korath, played by Diamond Honshu, back there, and a couple of other Kree soldiers. So, which kind of has me curious about. I was like, well, wait a minute, how is she going to get from there to here? Because obviously they're not doing, her original storyline. So, how does she get from there? Because we know she's definitely heavily, her powers are from the Kree. We'll see how we get to that point. And then, of course, we see her, Brie Larson, with Jude Law playing her captain, who's the commander of Star Force. Let's see. And then we see this picture of 4 Skrulls coming out of the water, which is getting a whole lot of play because it looks like a boy band, which I found was kind of interesting. And of course, could be some undercover Kree here, as this the article saying. But like I said, these are in here. There was one particular issue, picture that I wanted to get to. So you see Sam Jackson, Nick Fury there. You see Brie Larson in her plane. Here we go. We see one Maria Photon Rambeau in her cockpit of her fighter jet, which, if you did not know, Maria Rambeau is the mother of Monica Rambeau. And some people see they did a typo in here too. But anyway, and going by one of the names that Monica has gone by over the years in comics. So yeah, so we find out that Lashana Lynch is playing Monica's mother, which somebody postulated on Twitter, and I can't remember the name right now, that this still could open the door to the previous young lady who had to bow out to still play Monica Rambeau in something coming up. Because because Captain Marvel is being set in the 90s, so if it was Monica Rambeau, she'd be kind of way older than than what she would be now in comics. Anyway, but that's that. You can go check that out. It's in Entertainment Weekly. You can go to the site and check all this out, or be happy with what we have presented. Next.
An Avengers 4 animated fan trailer unites the entire Marvel universe against Thanos. Someone had a lot of time on their hands.
Hey, it must be nice. It actually looks kind of like the style they're using in the actual show, so that's pretty good. But yeah, there's a video of that. It looks like, wait, has it been taken down? It may have been taken down. I don't know. Sometimes that is being taken. That means it might have been taken down. We'll see. What? I mean, we won't see. But yeah, it was something. The Flash is finally going to start addressing a plot thread that has been dangling since the pilot. Those 5 years ago. Has it been 5 years? It's been longer than 5 years. Regardless, yeah. So there's a plot point that I don't even remember the pilot at this point. And so I guess you can go back on Netflix and go check that out. And go check out what that's about and the current episodes, which I still haven't seen. So that's the thing. Next.
Alrighty. So, the Doom Patrol set photos offer a first look at the cast in costume. So I'm gonna take a peek at what these folks look like because I'm mildly curious and I'm waiting for it to load. So this is only on the DC Universe app, and let's see what these folks look like. All right, so some of these photos have hit Twitter, and
again,
I see one character who is, I'm not sure who they're playing. I'm assuming it's
I don't know,
but not in costume just yet.
But yes, I think the one on the right is maybe the Elastigirl or whoever, and I'm not sure because they say who these people are in this article. But Crazy Jane is the one on the left, and I guess there's Elastigirl on the right, Elastigwoman on the right.
Yeah.
So
all right.
There's that, but also we found out that Disney. This is not definitely Disney. DC's Universe's Doom Patrol cast Timothy Dalton in key role.
Speaking of that, right?
I know, right? Yeah. Speaking of Bonds, so apparently he is playing Dr. Now's the Chief Calder, who is
the guy in the wheelchair.
Yes, he's that group's Professor X, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Alrighty. Speaking of the DC Universe app, it released an official Titans portrait. It has released official Titans portraits for Beast Boy, Starfire, and more.
Mm-hmm. So we see here the Beast Boy portrait, and then there's the Starfire one, and of course there's Robin, aka Robin.
Yeah, like the Robin one is the closest in look to the comics.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's face it, the Starfire one would probably be a little bit much. And boys also would be like, yeah, you know, but they had to change those.
Right.
Those are there. Speaking of Titans, Riverdale, and Gotham plans have been set for New York Comic Con 2018, which our own Agent 70 will be in attendance.
Yep.
Don't know if he'll be.
I doubt I'll be at the world premiere.
Yeah. So yeah, Warner Brothers is they're gonna have some panels and whatnot at New York Comic Con. It's all there, and I don't know if this goes into. Yeah, it does go into when their panels are and all that kind of good mess. I guess I don't know if I have it in here or not. I do not. But I was going to also put in, speaking of New York Comic Con, that there's going to be an event for Into the Spider-Verse. Which the Agent 7 you already know because I sent you the link to it, and there was a thing on Twitter about that, so you can go check that out. I believe it's going to be on the 3rd. I don't know. I would assume they're probably going to show Into the Spider-Verse there, but that's me presuming. But looks like they're going to be doing something big, so if you can go check that out, go for it. But next up,
DC Comics and DC Films are making a diversity and inclusion commitment. So in the wake of AT&T acquiring Warner Media, they are pushing to have a greater inclusion and diversity in comics and movies, in both in production and behind the scenes.
Yes. So I guess good for them on that. Next up, The Walking Dead's Jeffrey Dean Morgan wants to play DC's badass Lobo.
With lots of CGI.
Yeah. Which, hey, you know what? If they're going to get anybody to play it, sure, why not? Mr. Morgan, as most know at this point, as Negan from The Walking Dead. I believe he was also, wasn't he also the dad on Supernatural for a minute? I don't know. He's done a lot of things. Dude's been around.
Mm-hmm. He was also the comedian in Watchmen.
Okay, yeah, because this article, I think this article may have mentioned that, which I still haven't seen the Watchmen yet. Don't at me, please. Next up, Wonder Woman 1984. What's up?
That one, Wonder Woman 1984. Robin Wright has confirmed that she is in that. Well, she hasn't confirmed, but she's been confirmed for a flashback sequence in the movie.
Yes. So good. More Robin Wright in Wonder Woman. Awesome. Even if it is a flashback. Bumblebee voice actor spoils identity of Red Fighter Jet Decepticon, which I think we find out that's Blitzwing. I still don't know who that is. I don't think.
I mean, really.
But the voice actor for Bumblebee spoiled it because he, said that, I guess, and the voice actor for Blitzwing. Sure. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The thing's still coming. Next.
Henry Cavill is set to star in Netflix's The Witcher series. So Netflix is adapting The Witcher, which is what, a game?
It's a video game series, yeah. Basically, yeah. There is I don't know if it's a fan trailer, but there's a somewhat of a trailer out there about it. But yeah, so the it's a video game series. We don't have to go through that. The people who know about it, but it's basically a fantasy game, but well liked. He's playing Geralt, the title character. People are hoping that there's a bathtub scene because there is a lot of nudity in those games. Well, not a lot, but there's a bunch of nudity in those games. So people are getting their hopes up for that one. Anywho, that's the thing, because as we said, I think last week or week before last, Henry Cavill said that he wouldn't mind playing Geralt in the series, and guess what? It happened. So it's almost like he already knew he had it, and that being that. Tarantino's Star Trek movie won't shy away from the horrors of space. I have much intrepidation on a Tarantino-led Star Trek movie. But it's apparently a thing that's going to happen, and apparently it's not going to be Tarantino's usual fare, according to this article, or at least according to what he says. We'll see. Yeah.
And last up for cinematic news, Mattel, the toy brand, is launching a film studio for He-Man, Barbie, and other movies based on those properties. And
boy, do I wish Dirt was still here for that one, because I really would love to have seen what he was going to say about that. So yeah, this is the thing that's happening. This actually just came out the night out that while we were talking earlier. So this is basically breaking news. Nice. As I put that in the group chat just in case. But we're going to keep moving because we're going to go on into the comic book news with Diamond approaches pull box release with new item search feature. Actually, I meant to ask Dirt about this one because I wasn't sure how much news this was actually. So basically, Previews World has a new search function to where you can find the book that you're looking for, which you would think they would have already had.
No, but what it is it's supposed to help replace the Comixology pull list.
Right.
So this is, they're trying to incorporate it into the website.
Oh wait! Oh, I see. I didn't see nothing about that part.
That's what this is about. Pull box.
Well, yeah, but they were talking about the search. Okay, so they already have the pull box thing. They're just adding a new search thing within that.
Right.
Okay. That part, I did not know about because I didn't read it thoroughly. Anywho, moving right along. That's cool if you use that service, which I guess I might start. I don't know. And now that I think about it, last time I was at my comic shop, I think I saw them pulling something like this up. So anyway, next up, Tommy Oliver's Master Morpher introduced. So this had been the 25th anniversary of the Power Rangers, and there was a 25th anniversary special episode of said show, which was Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel special, and it was called Dimensions of Danger, and they brought back a whole bunch of old Power Ranger cast to play parts in it, including the ever-present Tommy Oliver, aka Jason David Frank. And apparently he got a new morpher that allows him to morph into all of his different iterations of which there are a bunch. And I don't think anybody else did. So yeah, there's that.
Alrighty.
Basically looks like an old morpher, but just switches, just flips, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, next.
So DC's Red Hood and the Outlaws is getting a new name. So apparently, to reflect the new status quo, in the book, the title is undergoing a name change, or at least temporarily.
Yeah, which is already by this point has already came out, because I think that book came out last week.
All right, so it's been rechristened Red Hood Outlaw.
There you go. And of course, we already know, he's got a new outfit around the same time. DC delivers a new clue about who will die in Heroes in Crisis. So this was also an article that has to do with that Red Hood and Outlaws annual that came out last week. So yeah, Heroes of Crisis is the upcoming is line-wide event that starts next week. This is next week or week after next. Regardless, it's coming soon. So I guess that issue gave a hint of who could die, according to our very own Tim Adams. So yeah, go check out that and all that.
All right. So next up, Tom King's next major Batman moment is going to be the Batman's reunion with Catwoman. Ooh, that's going to be awkward.
Maybe just a little bit. So, but hey, if you're keeping track of that, you'll see how it plays out. Let's see. Speaking of Tom King teases what's coming in the series finale of Mr. Miracle, which we are fast approaching. Although it did get pushed back a few weeks because of delays or whatnot. So I think 10's coming up soon. But yeah, if you want to be possibly spoiled or what that could be, and we already saw a cover off of it. I think he's been tweeting out, or somebody's been tweeting out. So yeah, 11, comes out in a couple of weeks. So fast approaching. Next.
Batman Day is coming up on September 15th. Here's what's going down. So in just another week and change, it's going to be Batman Day. So it's now in its 5th year, and DC is going to be partnering with thousands of bookstores, libraries, schools, and comic book retailers around the country to make this event bigger than ever before to honor Gotham City's hero. So yeah, there's all sorts of stuff being done to celebrate Batman Day. So be on the lookout for that at your local bookstore, library, and comic shop.
And I believe also worth noting, if I'm not mistaken, the DC Universe app comes out either on the 15th or the day after. I don't know, it's around that, but I think I'm not sure if it says here. But I've seen another article saying that the DC Universe thing was going to come out around this day. I don't think maybe the day after this. So, big Devil announcement coming soon, says Charles Soule. You would know, writing it. The solicitations for November is already out, so it's basically saying that there's some things in the works.
Yeah, we'll find out soon.
Yep. Because at this point, and actually, this is actually I'm not sure if we still know, because this is an article from last week, so don't know if we actually still know what that is. Next. Oh, okay, wait. Well, next was the fact that Ms. Marvel sold a bunch of trades. So 500,000 to be specific. And I don't know what's going on with that site. But it is handy start for the solicitation of the 10th Miss Marvel collection. In Prince collections alone, Miss Marvel has sold 500,000 copies. 9 volumes published. That's around 60,000 copies sold on average. And yeah, they sold a lot. Hey, guess what? Miss Marvel's a popular book because it's a good one. And as this article says, all without a movie or live action TV show, which I'm not sure why I made that point, but sure.
She is in the cartoons, though.
She is in the cartoons, yes, and in a couple of the video games. But you know whether that weighs in on the sales, we still have not figured out yet. So yeah, that's that. Next,
in a story reminiscent of another story from way back when in Uncanny X-Men or X-Men Gold, I think it was. Marvel's going to remove anti-Mormon imagery from Amazing Spider-Man. So apparently Ryan Otley put something in that was anti-Mormon and totally escaped everyone's notice, mine included. So apparently they're going to be removing that in future printings.
Okay, but somebody caught it. So, but yeah, so that's the thing. And also, I guess just like the business thing, they're gonna or any other thing, they'll take them out the trades and other runs of the issue. So next up, this illustrator gave Marvel's Dust character a realistic makeover. So illustrator Sarah Alfagi, I apologize for screwing up your name very profusely, did some redesigns on the character of Dust, which shows her now in more modern streetwear as opposed to the garb that she has now. And as what tends to happen with some folks on Twitter were up and on for her because they were just not either, and she kind of roasted them.
Okay.
But yeah, this is an article to which she's been kind of making the rounds on articles about that. We don't know if these will ever see, will probably may not ever see the light of day in a comic book, but nevertheless, someone was thinking some creators were not. Because I don't even know if anybody's even actually using Dust at this point, but she just took it upon herself to do. And they're good looking. If you're looking at the video, they're good looking. They're good looking illustrations. So go check them out. Next.
All right. So spoiler alert: Marvel's featured Guardians of the Galaxy revealed. This is right out of Cosmic Ghost Rider #3.
Yeah. So we never did mention the lineup.
Yeah, we can leave it alone because I think now that we've talked this book up, I think lots of people are going in there to read it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you may or may not have on it, but the one note I wanted to put in here, even though these folks kind of didn't last that long, was the fact that Kamala Khan was Captain America. So that was cool, but like I said,
and Howard the Duck was the Juggernaut. So
Juggernaut, yes. Oddly enough, Jubilee, still Jubilee, and still around somehow. And I guess to round it out, we got Cable and Rocket Raccoon in a Groot Iron Man suit. Which, yeah, think about that one for a second. The footnote underneath that when it says that, he's like, "Yeah, you'll like it. You like it." So that was kind of funny. Anywho, moving right along.
Spoiler alert, somebody returns in Asgardians of the Galaxy #1 and be piloting the destroyer armor.
Yes, and if you're looking at the little thumbnail, if you're looking at the video, you can kind of see who it is. We didn't spoil it on purpose. So if you're watching the video, you can see who, if you're looking close enough. But we're just going to move on. 2 Marvel heroes finally become a couple after 13 years. And this is from, I guess, the spoiler for Runaway 12, which I guess is already out. I think already came out last week, maybe. So I will go ahead and spoil this because it is Nico and Carolina. So if you are fans of the Runaways and these two as a couple, and you have shipped these, congratulations. They are now a couple.
Okay.
Next up.
There's a list of the 15 best comic book reading apps and services for mobile devices out there. There's a link in our show notes for it.
Yep, I just thought it was nice to put in because every now and then there's some new ones that tend to come up, and but the old favorites are still there. So go check them out if you're trying to become a digital reader. La Borinquina, my apologies if I screwed that one up, has raised $150,000 for Puerto Rico, and she's not about to stop. So, yeah, I believe I saw where Edgardo Miranda Rodriguez put this tweet out about that, and I think I may have retweeted it. So this is awesome because with the character's book and Reconstruction, the anthology that came out relatively recently, that's been raising money for Puerto Rico's natural disaster fund. It's doing good, and hopefully, and I think they're going to get that money over to the right hands, hopefully fairly soon. But also go check out Reconstruction. Also go check out La Borriqueña, because that was also a pretty decent, cool book. Next.
All right, next up, Scotty Young and Aaron Conley armed themselves for Bully Wars,
which I believe came out this week.
It's a new series, and they probably took a lot of their experience from high school and put it into the story.
Yep, there you go. Hey, some toy news. There's some new Star Wars figures that's been announced from Fan Expo Canada. Canada. These are based off of Solo movie and I think Last Jedi also, because we got a Phasma figure, we have Dryden Voss, and I believe that's it. There may be more to come, but those were the only two that are shown in this article.
I was about to say they also introduced new Canadian related Marvel Legends figures as well.
Yes.
They introduced a legit Weapon X figure. They actually introduced a Mystique figure. They introduced a Vindicator figure, and related to a point and a character that we brought up earlier in our Avengers review. That's the Build-A-Figure in this. It's a carnivorous character, or let's say a cannibalistic character who appears in the first appearance of Wolverine as well.
Yes. Yeah, because I didn't read that.
Lots and lots of of hints right there.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, so I didn't see too much outside of this, and maybe a couple other from that Fan Expo Canada thing. But yeah, I did see that, and I just didn't put it in the lineup. But cool beans. Whether some of that stuff is going to come here, we don't know. Rock Candy, Doctor. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's you.
Oh,
Rock Candy, Doctor Who, 13th Doctor this September.
There you go. Boom. So
Doctor is the latest addition to Funko Rock Candy.
Yep. So, and it looks good, even though, and that series is going to start up in a couple of months or so. So kind of can't wait for that. Creator claims that he was forced off Alterna book over a blockchain ban. So Alterna's kind of been under some light fire because of Comicsgate also. I don't know if this is in addition to that, but letterer Micah Myers, which almost sounds like Michael Myers, go figure, claims he was forced off of a title published by Alterna because he didn't agree to the terms of the company's updated social media policy. So yeah, there's some stuff going on about that, and it's a thing. Wait, is someone coming in?
What?
Oh, wait. I think we have a Ryan? We may or may have a
You have our guest.
Yeah, so we may have a guest coming in. I'm not sure. We can't hear him.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
Good.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen,
So I had a Sony meeting that went way long, and I could not get out. And I couldn't even tweet you guys to let you know what was going down. So
no problem.
Look at that, dropping names and giving a fair excuse for not getting on the show on time.
My sincere apologies.
It is quite all right. We're actually we're close to wrapping the show up, but well, we can go ahead because we only had like one other article to go through with the in the news, but we can go ahead and just Well, we'll just say, hey, there's another non-direct market venue for buying comics that's been identified. So this is basically those DC 3 and 4 packs that you've been seeing. I think in addition to the big 100-page books that are Walmart's got.
All right.
Right on. Well, I'm happy to come back on another time, if you'd like. Yeah, I just I didn't want to leave you guys totally hanging.
No,
so I was like, okay, as soon as I get back to my home office, I got to check in with my people.
Much appreciated.
yeah, very much so. So I'll tell you what we will definitely do. Yeah, let us do that because this show's kind of gone on a while back. But maybe can you come back next week?
Yeah, sure, whenever.
Nice.
But in the meantime, so again, this is we teased this earlier. Writer Brian Edward Hill is here right now. He will be back with us next week. He is the writer of Detective Comics, Michael Cray. He's done some work with Postal, with Top Guy with Postal and Romulus. He's done a lot of stuff. We will get into that.
Out here doing things.
Yes. He's been putting in some, especially I definitely want to especially talk about that Black Lightning Hong Kong Fooey book that you did.
Oh yeah. I'll come back. I will have awesome stories to the people watching right now. So in addition to like writing everything, sometimes I have to go meet with people, and when you meet with people, you are on their time. And so this time, I got hemmed up trying to get the next hotness together. But yeah. When I come back, man, I can tell you, I'll talk about whatever. Talk about some Black Lightning, some Hong Kong Fooey. We can talk a little bit about Detective. I can't say much about Outsiders, but I can tell you a little bit about Batman and the Outsiders. We can talk about American Carnage and some white supremacists.
Yes.
we can go in. We can go in.
For TV, because you're writing Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yeah, I wrote that. I was writer on Titans. We can talk a little bit about TV writing too. We can do that. For sure.
So we can definitely get into all of that next week. But until then, you want to actually tell people where we can find you?
Give yourself a plug or 10.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Brian Hill. Nice to meet everybody. You can find me on Twitter at Brian with a Y, at Brian Edward Hill. That's where I talk to people most of the time. I keep my DMs open. So if you ask me a reasonable question, I'll answer it when I have the time in my schedule. If you ask me some madness, I'm probably going to ignore it. So I don't want to deal with all that. Yeah, and that's probably the best way to catch up with what I'm all about. Right now, you can pick up Michael Cray is still going on. Batman and the Outsiders comes out in December, I believe. So look for that. And yeah, just find me around, man.
And yeah, you should definitely check out his Twitter account because he's definitely been dropping some gems, especially on, a lot of things in general, but also on the writing process, which there's a couple of tweets that I meant to get that I will mention next week. That were pretty.
Oh, yeah, we can dig into the whole thing, man. I don't even have to be the guest. You can have like a real guest on and I can just be around.
No, so you definitely will be the real guest here. And like I said, we will definitely get into all of that. Then. So, like I said, we were just about to actually end. So I guess I don't know if you want to stick around for this, but we definitely got you on.
Well, okay, I'll be around next week, so I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and close this out. Again, my apologies to you guys and your listeners. That is my bad. I will make it up with great. I'll tell you what. I will tell you the story next week about how the Wu-Tang Clan kicked my ass, and I have a scar on my lip from the Wu-Tang Clan.
Wow!
Cliffhanger. Cliffhanger.
Wow. I was about to say, I think you just gave us at least a title, or at least a candidate for title of the show.
Right on. So next week you will get the whole tale.
Oh yeah, so there you go, folks. Teaser for that. Please definitely come back for that.
All right, I'm gonna get out of here and let you all do it. I will talk to everybody next week. Keep on keeping on.
There you go.
Take care, sir.
Be easy.
Yes. Oh man, that's a nice teaser for next.
I was about to say, now we've got a part 2.
I know, right?
Holy cow!
Oh, so this is going to be glorious. So that being said, do come back for next week. But before we close the show out proper, we do have another ad read.
Yes, we have our last ad read for the night because I think I might have closed it out. I think I did close it out. Just a moment. because I thought we were gonna shut down. Isn't that terrible? Isn't that terrible?
Hey,
Like,
you gotta love it, but that was a good tease for next week, so you gotta love it.
yeah. All right, just a moment, because what did I do the first time? I did Funko, so I am going to do. Let's see. What do I not do normally? I'm waiting for this stuff to load, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, because like as a as background music, there's this song. As soon as he was telling that story, I was like, oh, of course that is the song. If not for this week, definitely for next week.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So, that is some stuff right there. Why is this stuff not loading? Where are my scripts? Where are my scripts? This is so funny. This is the stuff that evades you when you close it ahead of time, right? Ladies and gentlemen, this is live podcasting.
Just
You know what happens when we run out of time, right? You know which one I choose. What's the quickest read that we've got, but still one of the best? Ladies and gentlemen, please help us keep our podcast free for you by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or toys, etc., etc. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment. Ka-ching! That helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through cspn.us. Do it today.
And with that, luckily people did not hear what I was just doing. So with that, folks, we would like to thank each and everybody for coming out. Thank you for the cameo appearance by Brian Edward Hill, who will be back next week with us, so we can talk all about definitely that story and everything else he's got going on. Because that is something we need to know about. I feel like I saw a tweet on that, so definitely I'm glad he brought that up. If that was the case, I'm not sure. Maybe that was my fever dream. Regardless, I am Roddycat. You can find me at Roddycat on Twitter. That's RODDYKAT, no underscore, just like unlike the rest of these fellas, such as Agent_70, which I'll get to in a second. And I will say that News Nerds Need on Twitter, also News Nerds Need Reddit, also CB Caps Instagram. You can go check out all my stuff there, and heck, you can go if you want to my regular Roddycat Instagram, but there's not much there at this point. But Agent_70 on Twitter and on Instagram. Go check him out there for that stuff, for all of his goings-ons. For the Not Here PCN_Dirt, you can go check him out at that address on Twitter. Pop Culture Net on Twitter. PopCultureNetwork.com on Twitter, and I Need Comics, which is the splinter site of his Pop Culture Network empire. Go check out all of his stuff over there. And also for Tim Dad 98, who could not be with us tonight because of he had some priorities having to pop up and scream at him. But Tim DOGG 98 on Twitter, the Click Nation on Twitter, that's DKLIQ NATION, and also of course theclicknation.com. I'm doing this off the head, folks. I'm proud of myself. Also, you can go check out his stuff on CBR, where he writes over there every day, all day. Go check him out. And I believe that is everything on that front, with the exception of the podcast information, and that is cspn.us, folks. Go to that website to check out this podcast and other podcasts on the network. Some good stuff over there. Go check it out. They've been popping up some new shows frequently lately, so some stuff might be over there you will find, including to the stuff like us and other shows. You can also subscribe to this podcast on Google Play and Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, and also you can go to the CSPN SoundCloud page, where you can hear this show and other shows on the CSPN network. shop.cspn.us. Go there, get some merch from this show and other shows on the CSPN network. You know, help us, help you, help us, all that kind of good jazz. And with that, wait, did you have some playing out music, or are we gonna save that one?
Yes, I'm not gonna play the whole thing because that's just the tease.
I was gonna talk over it anyway, so
it's just the tease.
Indeed. Well, I should probably break out my figures I got from Comic-Con next week anyway. But anyway, we'll work that out by next week. So remember, we record here every Thursday night, 9-ish p.m. Eastern time. Same bat channel on the Click Nation YouTube. And with that, folks, this is the Click Nation's Comic Book Chronicles, and we will see you next week.
Peace.
Good evening, Rick. Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your